it wasn't a rash decision, it might have been a radical decision, but we did consider that we had a little option because we weren't going to put money into the Glazer model. Glazer's decision to invest in Manchester United and take over Manchester United was based on the fact that fans are completely loyal to the club and will just pay the money over regardless. So we withdrew our cash. They don't really want us to go in the ground, so we'll watch it on the telly, but we'll keep the cash ourselves. For us to be successful as an alternative, then we had to have a robust business plan. So in roughly an 8-week period, we established a steering committee of 15 people, developed a business plan, looked at the ground share agreement, drew up a constitution, made an application to the FA and to the league to join. We looked at how we might sustain that football club initially for its first year, but then obviously then 2 or 3 years beyond that. And the business plan we first had was, wasn't worth the paper it was written on within a matter of weeks of starting the club, because it was written on the basis of getting 1,000 people through the door, and we had 3,000 people donating money. We had average crowds in that first year of over 3,000. So that the business plan was needed to give the idea some structure and some direction, and it's grown ever since. And if we're now looking at developing our own ground, again, it's completely changed. We put on 1,000 members last year. You can't plan for that. You want to put on more members, but the idea you might put on a 40% increase in membership some 5 years after you're established. We hadn't planned for that. So there's lots of things that happen to us because football is a sport and it fluctuates, your fortunes fluctuate. What we're trying to do is we're trying to establish a stable core to the club, to what we do, and that stability is based on what we do in the community and our community work. And as I said, year on year that's increased to the fact we're now doing £250,000 worth of turnover, near enough. Next year we're investing in some additional work in the community to again consolidate what we've done, so we can then take it to the next level.
So at the same time, you must have been helping Bury as well, because I know the big lane was sort of, but they were struggling sort of financially. So obviously, if you're putting something in there, you're sort of helping them as well at the same time.
Yeah, not just. It has been a great benefit to Bury. It costs us over £100,000 a year to put our games on, and we're worth pretty much that in terms of turnover at Bury, not just in rent, but what we put over the bars and that sort of thing. We don't earn any of that. That's all towards Bury. So they probably make 60, 80, 90,000 pounds a year from our involvement, and it's taken some time to settle that relationship. Well, we get on very well with them, but that kind of money that goes into Bury pales when you look at how much money our fans put into other non-league clubs. One of the accusations that was thrown up at the beginning was that, well, if you're going to leave Man United, why don't you just go and support another non-league football club? Well, that misunderstands how football fans think and operate, in that they have a loyalty to a club and to the ideal of that club. And what we were saying is we're not just about going to support another club, it's about keeping the ideas and the vision that we had together, the campaign that we had, the most successful, the biggest fan-led campaign at any football club anywhere in the world. We lobbied MPs, we lobbied business, we lobbied the stock exchange. We couldn't stop the Glazers taking over. Thousands of people marching on Old Trafford. That idea and that campaign had to be kept together. What we've done in keeping that together is we've put money into other non-league clubs. As I said before, £500,000 going into non-league clubs and going into other businesses in those areas every single season since we've been established. That would have money that would have been lost to fads and B&Q and IKEA if it hadn't been kept within the game.